I love when coaches, consultants, and professional service providers want to do big things in their business. They want to rise to the top and influence their market and the world around them. They want to have a greater impact and make a more lucrative income. Well, if this is you, welcome to Expert in You podcast, the show where I interview other experts and coaches, consultants, so that they can share their success strategies with you. We're going to talk about marketing and how to close more sales, how to get more premium clients, and how to really build your visibility in the market and scale your business like a boss. If this is you, welcome to the show. I want to ask you to subscribe and hit the notification bell right now so you don't miss one episode. Grab your coffee and buckle up because we are ready to give it all to you to help you become the expert and get paid as the expert that you are. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Expert in You podcast. I'm your host, Ann Carden, and I cannot wait for you to hear from my guests this week. This is going to be such a great show. I have Marianne Smith with me today, who is a practitioner, a psychotherapist, and she is a guide to high-achieving visionaries who are ready to ditch the chaos and lead from their inner Zen master. So you know this is going to be so exciting and so interesting to talk about. Marianne, thank you for joining me.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me, Ann. I'm so excited to be here.
This is going to be a fun show because we're going to talk about the inner nervous system. And I haven't done a show around this before. And I know this is going to bring massive value because this is something that entrepreneurs absolutely have to master if they're going to go to high levels in their business. But even getting started, they need to be able to master that nervous system and that inner mind. But we don't want to just talk about mindset here. We want to actually talk about the nervous system and energy and things like that. So, Marianne, why don't you just give us a little bit of background about how you got to this place before we dive in?
Oh, man. Okay. So I've been a therapist for over 30 years. And, science has come a really long way in understanding how our inner worlds affect our relationships and how we show up in the world and how we move through the world. And it used to be, I'm also a trauma therapist. So it used to be that we treated healing trauma very differently than we do now. It used to be mostly all mindset work, but we know now that really because 95% of what we do is unconscious, how we relate to other people, how we relate to the world really has a lot to do with our nervous systems. Not really, of course, our brains are part of our central nervous system, right? But it's so much more than just reframing thoughts. And I saw this I've worked with thousands of clients over the years and have from all walks of life and saw that just mindset was not really cutting it. And we have all this new great research around polyvagal theory. And, I'm just such a lifetime learner. So I started going down that road with my coaching clients and my therapy clients. And it just has made a lot of sense to me on a personal level as well. So, of course, a big part of this work is embodying my work. Mm-hmm. So I work with my own nervous system coach around my own energy optimization and getting to know myself better. So I moved into the online space about 5 years ago. So I mentor higher level entrepreneurs, usually multi-6, 7, 8 figures, because they have certain, as you know, you work with those folks too, they have certain, pain points, you'd call it.
Right.
And so it's just such fascinating work and it's ever changing and it's really quite cutting edge and it's very exciting.
I think it's so interesting, which is exactly why I wanted to have you on here as well. So let's just talk about this. So when you get in when you're just starting as an entrepreneur, a coach, a consultant, a professional service provider, you're nervous about going out there and working with clients, and can you serve them and can you help them? And a lot of it is in your mind. So there's this self-doubt, there's this fear that maybe you can't do what what you're out there promoting that you can do. But let's talk about the nervous system part of it, which is kind of like deep in your gut, almost like kind of that almost nervous, sick feeling that you get when you're just stepping into entrepreneurship. But then the thing that I have discovered as well is when you're growing your business and you're stepping into new territory, new levels, things you've never done before, all of a sudden, maybe what you thought you were over because you already learned how to handle that, it almost sometimes comes back in a bigger way because the risks are bigger, the decisions are bigger, right? And so now you have a lot more to lose. It's not just a matter of, can I serve this client? Maybe you're now responsible for paying a team. And as you're building your business, their livelihood is dependent on you being successful in business. So now again, the problems are bigger. Everything's bigger. So do you want to talk about that just a little bit and kind of dive into some of those things? Even anxiety can come around because you can get confused with where you should go and what you should do. So I'll just let you dive into all of that and I will be quiet for a minute.
Oh man, and that's a lot. I mean, there is so much about every aspect of what you just brought up, and I'll just kind of touch on maybe do the best I can. So the nervous system is really, there's the autonomic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. It's a complicated system, but we have two nerves called the polyvagal nerve. It's a 12th cranial nerve, and it goes from like our up here neck down to our gut. And it picks up signals. It picks up signals from other people's nervous systems. So we will often mirror other people's nervous systems. So it's called co-regulation. And so the thing is, you're so right, because my clients are doing new things and in new ways. And in some ways, what I really see is a lot more anxiety. It's a different kind of anxiety than when you're starting your business and growing your business. There's an added pressure I hear that all the time from my clients about, look, I'm paying, like these people are relying on me for their livelihood. They have families. It really isn't true that more money makes you calmer and happier. Oftentimes it will just elevate you said it, like there's just more to lose. And so it becomes like a different kind of trap, I guess. And oftentimes what will happen is when you reach these new levels, you can start to get sick. You can start to get these mystery illnesses. The Big Leap, it's a very popular entrepreneur book. Gay Hendrickson, who wrote it, is a psychotherapist. It's a great book that talks about this.
What is the name of it?
It's called The Big Leap.
Okay.
And our bodies, another great book, our bodies keep the score. Our nervous systems keep the score. We are not aware of a lot of what's going on with us. We feel anxiety. We don't think anxiety. Right. And here's one thing that is so important. And it was just mind-blowing for me as I was learning a lot about the nervous system, in mindset work. And I'd like to say mindset work is important. I'm not bashing mindset work at all. Mindset work is important. But the thing is, what I saw over the years with clients and with myself is mindset work is a lot about noticing your thoughts, noticing your feelings that are created by those thoughts, and noticing the behaviors that are created by all that. So it's like a feedback loop. It's basically cognitive behavioral therapy. What I saw was a real frustration with clients because they were reframing, but it wasn't sticking. Because they and I have experienced this too. If you don't 100% believe it, if your body doesn't 100% believe the reframe, it's not going to stick, and it's going to be very frustrating, and maybe you've heard this, like, with your clients, like, why can't they just believe that they're amazing? Why can't they just see how far they've come?
Right.
And really this is a whole nother conversation, but the way I perceive this is being a trauma therapist, what underlies all this are traumatic or, less than ideal experiences that shaped the beliefs that we created about ourselves. But here's the thing. The state of our nervous system really steers the thoughts that we believe. So we have thousands of thoughts a day. And if I am in like a sympathetic nervous state, which is the state of action and doing and speed and kind of anxiety, I'm going to believe the thoughts like, I need to do more. Oh my gosh, what is he thinking of me? If I set a boundary with her, she's going to not like me. But if we're more in a grounded, it's called ventral vagal state, which is the state of connection, we're going to believe thoughts that might come up like, I'm okay. I am safe. Everything is working out in my favor. But if we are, and a lot of high achievers are in, mixed state of sympathetic and a downregulated state, this is a whole nother thing, but they were going to believe these messages of, it's not enough. I need to keep going. I need to keep doing. And it's so common. But the thing is, what got you there what got you here isn't going to get you there. And there's this conflict that gets created internally that is like this internal battle that is very hard on your system. It's hard on your energy. And so I hope that answers some.
No, I really love this, because I will say I have experienced this as well. All through the years of being an entrepreneur. And I always found, even though all the mindset work, I do have done mindset for many, many years, I still would feel it in my nervous system. And I still would. So I understand completely what you're saying. It's almost like, in some ways, it almost feels disconnected. Like they almost feel like they're two different things.
Yeah,
and
they are.
Sounds like that's what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, there's a conflict, because the mindset is top down.
Yes.
So you start with what you're aware of. The problem with that, or the challenge with that is, not that it's even a problem, but the challenge is we actually feel things from the kind of like the top up. Like we don't feel anxiety. We don't think anxiety. We feel it in our chest and throat.
Right. In your stomach, or yes.
Yes. Yeah. So all of these, and there's a lot of, with more analytical people, which tend to be the people who are very high performers, there's a lot of imposter syndrome and this kind of disconnection from your body, which I grew up very disconnected from my body. So it's really all because of trauma. So it's been really challenging for me just to connect with myself again, and just to just learn. It's a skill, right? And this kind of goes into like emotional intelligence and things like that, because if you're not aware of how you're feeling or the messages that your body is giving you to slow down or take a rest or speed up or optimize, it can be very confusing if you're only paying attention to all those thousands of thoughts you have in your head.
Yeah, I love that we're talking about this, because logically we can be thinking one thing, but what's really going on, that internal, like, and you said chaos, internal chaos. Fear is a big one. Anxiety is a big one. All that shows up as stress, right? And so we've determined what it is, and now we understand what it is. What are some ways to, number one, be aware and to recognize it? But what are some practical things people can do to try to learn how to overcome this? So they've done the mindset work, but it hasn't fixed the internal feelings and nervous system and all of that. So can you give us some practical things that can be done?
Yeah. So I want to say that all of this is a journey too, right? So, we never really get there because our bodies are always changing, our circumstances are always changing, our environments are always changing. And really, I think to determine, I talk a lot with entrepreneurs about, are you in a reactive state in your business? And there are lots of signs for that. I have a whole presentation that I go into groups and do around this. But I mean, just kind of assessing what is happening inside that is being reflected by certain behavioral patterns or ways of thinking, or even like problems in your body. Like, are you noticing, like, is your stomach upset all the time? Are you having consistent trouble sleeping?
That's a big one for a lot of people.
Huge. Which
only makes it all harder and worse.
Yes, it becomes a vicious cycle. That's why when I work with people, I look at like a holistic picture, because we are whole beings. There could be a lot of different things going on. And so if you notice that you just feel like you're putting out fires all the time, that is a really good indication that you are more kind of always in this sort of reactive state.
Right.
Or like if you feel like you get overwhelmed a lot, and so you're in this do, sympathetic loves doing, and then you just kind of collapse. And then you kind of go into this, okay, I'm just going to sit here and watch Netflix for 5 hours. And I wish somebody else would make some decisions sometimes in kind of that state. That's a really common mixed state.
Right.
So just once you notice that, the number one thing, and I know this sounds easier said than done, but really injecting just a ton of self-compassion into your life. Self-compassion, it has components to it. It's not just like being kind to yourself, but it is a skill that you cultivate over time that starts with being in the present. Because if you are constantly projecting a fire to put out, like all the bad stuff that can go wrong with your team or your business or whatever,
right?
Or thinking about the past, like what has gone wrong or what you could have done better, you are not in the present. And it's very hard to be connected to your body and notice the signs that is trying to tell you when you're always in the future or the past. So it is so important. And this is something that in my experience for decades working with these high performers, and I am one of them, we don't even notice that we're hard on ourselves.
Right.
That's how we got here. We don't even, like, I had a client tell me a couple months ago, or a couple weeks ago, we're on a call. She's been through so many changes. including some health issues. And I was basically, we were talking about that. And she's like, Marianne, I make enough excuses for myself. And I think that's a really good example of how hard we can be on ourselves. These aren't excuses. These are, learning how to validate your own experience is so important. There are lots of different exercises, very quick exercises to rewire your nervous system that I teach my clients that are very quick and easy. You don't have to go journal for 3 hours a day. You don't even have to meditate, but, being consistently sort of in your body and just noticing what your experience is and doing some of these exercises can be so helpful because we only know things through contrast and comparison.
Right.
So when we experience I had a facial the other day and I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever.
So good.
I guess. And I didn't really have an awareness of how stressed I had been that morning.
Right.
And so that's what I mean. It's all, and I work and I have my own nervous system coach. So I do this work and I still, things kick up.
Sure.
And there's just so much that isn't conscious that happens. So the other thing I would say that is super easy to do is get yourself a way to monitor your physiological states. So that could be, I love the Aura Ring. I wear an Aura Ring. It's amazing. It's really surpasses, I'm not an affiliate for any of these things. It really surpasses things like, Garmin watch or an Apple Watch. You can track your HRV, which is a whole nother topic, but it is really important for resilience because really this work is all about resilience. How do we bounce back? Inevitably in life, we're talking about entrepreneurship in particular. You're going to, it can be a bit of a roller coaster. There's a lot of responsibility and, it's really about how do we hold it and bounce back from it. And that really, to me, is what high sort of achieving performance is about, is how can we, with precision focus, do what we need to do and maintain and preserve our energy, because energy and time are two very finite resources. And the older I get, I'm 54, the more that just hits me in the face. Because it's
I turn another year in at the time we're recording this in 2 days. So I can feel your pain there.
Happy birthday. Yes. Again, we know things through comparisons, right? When I was in my 20s, I was not thinking of these things.
You have loads of energy. You don't think about it.
Stay up till 3, go to work at 9.
Right.
You're all good.
Right.
We want time. I have so many of my clients say, I want time to be present with my family. I want to feel like that is safe. I'm always worried about my business. And it's really it's not a fun place to be.
Right.
So bio-tracking, we're going to see a lot more products coming out. It's very cutting edge. Super important, I think, and fascinating to kind of look at your rhythms, look at patterns, look at how habits, because I always tell people you can't argue with the data.
Right.
Especially data over time. You can tell me, you're sleeping 8 hours a night, but actually the data is telling me that you're only sleeping 6. So let's talk about that. So, it's fascinating.
It's really interesting. Now, this is a question. So do you find, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for 32 years, so I have
Amazing.
been through the gamut, right, of all of this. And so I feel like at this stage in my life, and plus I was in the fitness industry for 20 years. So you really do learn your body and you learn how to listen to your body. I used to have a weight loss centers as well. And so one of the things we would teach people is listen to your body, listen when you put a food in your body and how your body reacts to that food. And so that awareness that I have learned through the years has served me really well in entrepreneurship as well. But it was something that it had to be learned. And I love what you're saying, that these are skills that you learn. So you learn how to manage it. On many, many podcasts, we've talked around fear and things like that. And I said, fear is like a muscle that the more you work it, the more you overcome it. Like it's like, okay, here's just another thing that, I'm not too keen on it, but I know I need to do it and I'm just going to do it anyway. And so it's really the same kind of thing that you learn how to manage it. However, that being said, there are still areas where it can pop up. Like you might think you have it managed. Okay. And in so many ways I have, but then I'll see it show up in some strange way that I wasn't expecting. And that's what you're talking about. Like you're always changing, your body's always changing, things are always happening, right? And so I think, but having the tools and having the awareness is a huge, huge piece of it as well, to recognize it. And then what you're saying, you have the tools now and the skills to get through that in the best way to maintain your energy or to keep your energy. Just shared. Yeah. I hope that all made sense, but
fear is an interesting topic. So interesting.
Yes. We could talk about that one all day. Right.
Yeah. And it's hard partly because if you don't feel safe in your body, it's really hard to, pushing through will actually dysregulate you more. So long-term, stress it will weigh heavier and heavier. So it's just also even noticing, like when you feel that niggling fear, like you're saying, be aware of it and also be curious. Curiosity is so important. You don't need to judge it, but just notice. And then also, what do you need? What do you need to hold that fear, to hold that part of you that's scared for whatever reason? Sometimes, these fears are very, very old and they're tied to adverse life events or experiences. Sometimes they're not. Oftentimes they are, though, tied to, beliefs that are brain sort of processed experiences and decided, okay, like we're not good enough or people are unsafe or, all these sort of stories that are very dysregulating to just kind of like push through. So yeah, it's fear, imposter syndrome. It can cause so much anxiety.
Right.
We're trying to do and wanting to make bigger impact and do bigger things. And, it's important. I believe it's important work. It's been really important for me.
Right. No, I agree. You get to a place where you have to learn to manage you have to learn how to be able to get through these things, to get through emotions. Otherwise, you really are going to wreck your health. You're going to, you're going to wreck a lot of things around you. But one of the things that you said at the very beginning is you talked about being in a reactive state. So as a business coach, and especially when I was working like with small business owners with brick and mortar type of businesses, and they were running, they had a lot of overhead and they had a lot of employees and there were lots and lots of things going on in their business. And they were always in a reactive kind of chaotic stage. And entrepreneurs as they get to a certain level. I always talk about, you're breaking your business, right? Because you don't have things in place. So it is I just want to say that it is you need to do both things as far as like know how to run your business in a way that you're not putting this constant stress on you. And that comes from the right skill set and the right tools and understanding how to build a business beyond that. But then you have this other internal piece, and it takes both. I have said all along, it is not one or the other. It takes both. You need the strategy. You need to know what you're doing, but you also need the mindset work. You need the internal. You have to do a lot of inner work to get to those much higher levels.
1,000,000%. And the thing is, from a neurological perspective, if you are in that reptilian part of your brain, that fight, freeze, flight, or shutdown mode, and you alternate between the two, which is really an epidemic issue with a lot of entrepreneurs, founders, you are not even able, your frontal lobe is offline, and the frontal lobe is where you can see the bigger picture, is where you are able to strategize. It's where you're able to fit these puzzle pieces together and do this higher level problem solving, visionary thinking. You literally cannot do that if you are in these certain nervous system states. And we move in and out of these nervous system states. But if you are heavy on the sympathetic or high functioning freeze is another thing that it's called, you're literally, that part of your brain is offline. So it's, and I see this like struggle with entrepreneurs with that, because you're asking your brain to do something that it's not able to do because there's a lot of dysregulation going on. And so to even like implement the amazing work that you do with your clients around, strategy and looking at the bigger picture, their frontal cortex has to be online. They can't be in this like fear reactive place all the time.
Right. So good. Oh my goodness. We could talk about this all day. And I find it so fascinating and so interesting as well. Are there any kind of exercises, anything that maybe something simple or quick that could help someone? Even obviously you need a coach, you need to work with Marianne, but are there any little things that someone could leave this podcast with that would be helpful? It won't be all they need, obviously, but something that could help them.
Yeah. So all of the exercises that I teach, like we're really talking about somatic exercises here. We're talking about exercises that can like put on the vagal brake, can slow things down. We are very addicted to speed and the dopamine hits. So it's hard for me to, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this because these are like action focused exercises. Right. But I'm trying one thing that I can send you a link to like a very simple Loom video of me doing an exercise. But one thing that is super simple, it's called the neurocross exercise. And you basically, all you do is you cross your arms up by your, how do I explain this, Ann? Up by your neck. And
let's do it.
Yes. And you slowly move down to your midline. My camera doesn't go this far, but.
So if you're listening to the audio, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go check out the YouTube video.
You slowly move down to your midline. And so you want to do this fairly slowly. And then when you come back up, you switch the direction of your arms.
Okay. And so tell me what this does.
This does actually a bunch of different things. But first you have bilateral stimulation, which helps to link up left, right side of brain, when you notice, it's just like in like working out. You always do the same thing on both sides, right? Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
It's because it increases balance. It trains your brain to,
well, you don't want to be lopsided. So
no, you don't want to be lopsided. You don't want to be lopsided. So naturally, your brain is kind of like one side of your body is stronger than the other, right? Sure. It's weird, but it's true. So you're practicing and stimulating left, right side of brain. It's also you're putting on that vagal brake a little bit. So you're slowing down, you're signaling safety to your body. You're slowing things down. So you want to do 10 reps of those a day at the same time. And it's super easy. A lot of my clients love this particular exercise. I can give you a video to link it.
And how will you know if it's working?
Well, okay. So I talk to my clients about this a lot. So as entrepreneurs, we are very addicted to the breakthroughs, the downloads, the massive shifts, right? That is not, we need to be able to hold. And we do that through titration. So even if you notice a 0.5% shift, because we're all about creating sustainability, resilience, which equals a sustainable business and a happy life, happy, grounded life. So they're all interconnected. So when you're signaling safety and you even notice like a change in your breath, we are all very tight here. We're computers, our bodies are tight. As we're opening up our chest and doing this, bringing these slow, gradual movements, they're probably going to seem boring to you at first, because we're used to kind of like going to the next thing. You're going to probably notice an openness in your chest. You can maybe breathe a little easier. Just noticing how your neck and shoulders feel. You may be noticing, like I get really tight right here. When I do that exercise, I just notice the tightness and I think, oh, I need to do my massage gun, later in the day. So it's these little subtle shifts, just like little subtle changes in habit add up to huge changes over time. This is not sexy.
Most things that really work are not.
Exactly. It's not sexy.
So true.
But when you notice, like even the question, how are we going to know it's going to work? It's, you just notice a little bit of shift in your energy. You notice a little bit more openness. You notice a little bit more ease. We're turning on the frontal cortex with these exercises and getting out of that kind of lizard brain activated amygdala. So you notice more of a focus, more of a clarity, because it takes a while to rewire. It takes a while practice to create new neural networks. But immediately you might notice just these little subtle shifts in breathing, in how you're holding your body, in the thoughts that are coming up that you're believing. So those are all those shifts that you might notice, that my clients notice, that I notice myself when I do these.
Interesting. Well, this has been so fascinating. And I do know we could talk about this for a long time and there's so much, like you said, there's just so much. But Marianne, this has been so great. Thank you for sharing your expertise. And how can people get a hold of you and work with you this can really help you get into that high performing state. So how can they get a hold of you?
So I think I shared the link to my website, so they can
we'll put that with the show notes.
MLDcoaching.co. I'm on all the social medias, but I'm mostly on Facebook. So
Okay.
I'd love to connect with you there. That's where I post most of my content. I'd love for anybody who wants to know more too to sign up for my newsletter. About, where I share tips and tricks and all the things. Or you can email me at Marianne at mariannedaugherty.com. I'd love to have conversation.
Again, we'll put all of her information with the show notes, but make sure you connect with her, reach out to her. And as you can tell, she's so personable and so sweet anyway. So,
thank you.
Yeah. So this has been fun. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And also, if you're watching the podcast, if you're listening to the podcast, whatever you're doing, please share it with other people. And sharing is caring, I always say. And I know that there's someone that needs to hear this today that could definitely use her services and could use this work. So please share this and make sure that you subscribe to the show if you have not done so, and leave comments and feedback. And if there's something that you would like me to have on the show, if there is an expert that you would love for me to interview, then leave that in the comments as well, or reach out to me and let me know. So God bless you all. Have an amazing week. Go rock your business. And until next time, bye-bye. If you've enjoyed this episode, I want to invite you to go check out a free training that I have at expertinu.us. It is a training that I have on how you can get ultra premium dream clients, scale your business, get more freedom, and really simplify your business and multiply your money. So go check that out. And again, that is expertinu.us. I want to thank you for being here with me this week. I hope you found massive value. Please always leave a comment, feedback, or a question. We check them all. And I want you to go rock your business, and make sure you join us again next week. God bless you. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.